Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the press conference of Emo 2021. I would like, first of all, to greet all of you in behalf of CESIMO, who is the European Association for Machine Tool Industries, which charged me to represent Emo Milano 2021 as a General Commissioner. Emo is the most important metalworking in the world, and the most important event for the operators belonging to all sectors of the metal and metal forming industry, like automotive, aerospace, general mechanics, electric household appliances, and energy and biomedical sectors, just to mention the most important among them. In Emo Milano 2021, there will be about 700 companies exhibiting, representing 34 countries. And despite all travel restrictions that are still in place and that you very well know, we already have a confirmation from international operators to come, and most of all, the presence of these foreign operators is accounting for about 60% of the total. In the next slide coming, okay, this one, are represented the most important countries that will be represented during the show, like Italy, of course, Germany, Taiwan, Switzerland, Spain, Japan, France, South Korea, and US, just to mention the most numerous exhibiting in here. The whole production spectrum, from metal forming to metal cutting, which are the most traditional, from robotics to automation, from tools to auxiliary accessories, from mechatronics to additive technologies, is represented in the 6 halls, which are completely set up for the show, covering more than 100,000 square meters of total exhibit area. There will be positioned, installed, and fully working over 3,500 machines for a value exceeding €500 million. Including machine tools, production systems, robots, industrial automation systems, and all of them are in operation, as you will be able to see. And all these package of machines can very well illustrate and determine the future of manufacturing production and of the processing methods in the future factories. Besides the machine, which is the most known side of our exhibition, there will be a comprehensive and very interesting display of software and technologies related to Industry 4.0, and also additive manufacturing, which is increasingly becoming an integral part of the production offer of production systems. For this reason, we can fully say that Emo Milano 2021 will be the biggest digital factory ever set up within a fairground. Let's go to some special initiatives that we have besides the machines that you see all around of us. Emo Digital. This is an exhibition area which is dedicated to digital technologies, where important players operating in the sector of software, ITC, sensors, and in general of connectivity technology, which are capable of enabling the transformation 4.0 of the future factories. Another area is Emo additive manufacturing, which we already mentioned before. The representation of this sector is entrusted to the leading players of the field, but also to develop additive solutions to complete and integrate the product range of traditional machines. A very wide proposal of additive technologies is completed in the area of AITA, who is the Italian Association of Additive Technologies, in cooperation with CESIMO. Promoted by ICE, which is the Italian trade agency, there is an area called Emo Startup, which is focused on new companies actively involved in the development of products and projects related to the metalworking world. A big novelty of this edition of Emo Milano is the speaker corners, which is the area we are now here sitting and listening and talking, where the project and the meaning of this area is to combine event with the exhibition of thematic and in-depth cultural analysis and discussions, which can be developed and will be developed in the next days through a full program of side events, more than 80, which you can see on the big table, on the big wall, on your shoulders. So there are many, and you can select and choose the ones that you better like. There is another initiative which we organize, which is Emo Milano for Students. It's a special initiative dedicated to students, which will be able to, let's say, to see from very close all the technologies and innovation characterizing the production of our sector. It is promoted by UCIMU, Probest Service and ECOL, and is addressed to the classes of students of technical high schools, technological high schools, and professional educational institutes, professional training centers, and high technical institutes of very recent setup. We will have also foreign delegates. Over 30 delegates are invited to visit the show, and this is thanks to an initiative that is very traditional for UCIMU to set up. They are coming mainly from Bosnia-Herzegovina, Croatia, France, Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Turkey, Uganda, and US. Emotion is another initiative. So Emo team had been working to enrich the experience of the exhibitors and visitors so that their participation to Emo can be remembered even for all those aspects in which Italy is recognized unique and extraordinary, starting from culture and good living, as well as art and music. So Emotion 2021 is a compilation of music pieces which propose an ideal journey around the world as a tribute to the 5 continents, which are widely represented among the exhibitors and visitors of the World Metalworking Exhibition. And this is an accurate selection of songs reinterpreted in jazz style. I hope I gave you an idea of our show, besides products that are exposed here. So I'm finished with the information. Of course, I'm at disposal if you have any kind of question later on. And now I give floor to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As the president of Sesimo, I would like to welcome all the journalists and all the peers taking part in this press conference today. This event is of symbolic importance to us as it officially marks the first step towards the economic recovery of our sector after the pandemic. Being here at Emo Milan 2021 is a testimony of how our industry managed to overcome challenges through unity, collaboration, and innovation, values that Sesimo promotes and adheres to. Let me begin by reiterating my sincere appreciation for the organizers of this event, UCIMU, with the person of Luigi Galdabini, Barbara Colombo, Alfredo, and their team and staff. Their hard work and dedication did not go unnoticed, and we are truly grateful for their efforts. Thank you. As we are all aware, since the last Emo press conference in 2019, our industry has faced several unexpected challenges. Global machine tool production decreased by more than 20% in 2020. In the European area, the impact was even stronger, with Sesimo countries experiencing a 26 decrease in production, the effects of the pandemic were even higher. Currency fluctuations, supply chain disruption, Brexit, and many other factors played part of it. All in all, the COVID-19 crisis put a strain on machinery companies, but it also created important opportunities to accelerate digital transformation, become more resilient and more sustainable. As Gilbert Tully once said, persistence and resilience only come from having been given the chance to work through difficult problems. As an innovative and forward-looking sector, I'm certain that we all take these opportunities to emerge stronger than ever before from this crisis. As you know, and you see it here, Emo is a symbol of our industry, the machine tool industry. The industry where manufacturing begins, where you can meet machine tool builders and visitors from around the world. In addition, it is a great place for sharing experiences, cooperation, and I hope also signing contracts. Therefore, I believe that this Emo will stimulate investments that will have an impact on the growth of the various sectors of European and global industry. My optimism regarding the recovery of our sector is supported by the recent statistics released by Sesimo's economic department. The first half of 2021 signaled the beginning of our sector's road to recovery. A steady growth is forecasted over the next 3 years, and also it won't happen overnight. We are certainly heading in the right direction. I will not go further into detail, as Marcus Burton, sitting to my left, will provide you with his expertise on the matter. And I would like to thank all of you for your presence and give the stage to Marcus.
Thank you, Hans. Thank you, Hans Martin. Good afternoon, everybody. Having spent a long time doing Teams and Zoom economic briefings, it's a real pleasure to be here in person to actually talk to you and engage in some discussion about the economic situation. First of all, before I do that, I'll just mention a little bit about Sesimo, which is our statistical base. We consist of 15 national associations, and that represents about 20.2 billion sales in 2020. And that's also 34% of global production. And that is about 1,500 companies. 80% of them are in fact SMEs, and we're representing about 150,000 employees. So to start with the data, this is the historical data of domestic and foreign orders for our Sesimo producing countries, and it's the top 8 countries, which includes Austria, UK, Germany, France, Italy, Czech Republic, Switzerland, and Spain. And what you can see here is the recession part caused by the COVID. I don't think the laser's going to work on that screen, so you'll have to follow where we are on the chart. So if we look at 2020, Q2, Q3, you can see the huge dip in the order intake for our producing countries, but you can now see that the recovery is well underway. So on a quarter-by-quarter basis, we've seen a 158% increase in domestic orders for our Sesimo 8 countries since last year. And recently, on the most recent quarter, we've seen a 13% increase. For foreign orders as well, we've seen a 113% increase looking at the previous year. And we had a small dip only in the last quarter, but we've analysed that. We feel that is temporary because it followed a rather record foreign order intake in Italy, which has reversed a little bit, but we think that trend will still continue upwards. So a positive situation with the order intake. This chart shows the actual total order intake and also shows the shipments, which is the more volatile graph behind, showing some of the cyclical nature with high Q4 shipments in our industry. But again, it's illustrating that in total, we've seen 119%, so more than double the recovery on a quarter-by-quarter basis from last year. So that is very positive indeed. But what's going to happen in the future? Well, we have a number of forecasting tools within Sesimo. One of them looks at new orders for our Sesimo 8, and that is provided by HPO Forecasting. And you'll see here, if you look at 2020, you'll see the low point in orders, looking at the quarterly values trend, which is the blue line. And now you can see how that's increased. And we've seen a massive increase in orders for our companies. There's a little bit of a warning here. HPO consider that we were already on a downward trend before the pandemic, and they believe some of those forces are still in play, and therefore we'll see a little bit of a correction. And that's something that we're debating and is not altogether in line with our other forecasts, and I'll say a little bit more about that as I move forward into the presentation. But it's still a good position. We've got a very high order intake, a great recovery, and even when it settles down, we'll still be at the pre-pandemic levels by 2022, the 2019 levels. And supporting our feeling of positiveness is we do a business climate measurement for our members, and that's been obviously quite negative. The green bars are showing what's actually happened with the total orders, and then you can see the general business situation on the orange line with figures of something like -80, -75. And this is a sentiment index by survey. And you can see how that's jumped. We've now got positive indication of 24%, and the latest figure shows a 38% positive index. So our members and our companies are feeling extremely positive about the current business climate. Put things into context a little bit when we look at the output. Sesimo, as I mentioned earlier, represents 34% of the world machine tool output in 2020. And if we look at our countries within Sesimo, Germany is representing something like 43% of that, with Italy 23% and Switzerland 9.7%. So that gives you the breakdown of Sesimo on the output that we achieve. Now if we move on to, again, world machine tool production for the whole of Sesimo, you can see the trend up until 2020, where at the Sesimo level we had a 27.4 billion production output in 2019, representing about 36% of the global, and that fell to 20.2 in 2020. So if we look at what's happening now, from 2020, moving into 2021, we're going to see an increase, having had the fall of something like 26.3%, we will see an increase of something like close to 10% in 2021. So very positive in terms of output. Just moving on briefly to trade, the situation is that Sesimo, as a region, is a net exporter. So we're producing a lot of machine tools and exporting those. And you can see on this chart the trade balance, which is showing the exports, so in 2020 at 15 billion, and the imports at 8 billion, showing a net trade balance positive of 7 billion. And you can see who the main exporters are in the pie chart on the right there, which is Germany at 40% and Italy at 17 or 18%. So if we look at the export and growth rates, we're now seeing again a positive trend in exports. We saw a 27% fall in 2020, but now we've got a 10% rise estimated for 2021, showing again that things are improving in our markets and we can continue the export-led success of the Sesimo regions. And that brings me on to consumption, because obviously we export more, so the consumption measures what the market is like in Europe, and that's really a calculated figure that from the amount that we produce, plus the imports into the region, minus the exports. And you can see here the trend in consumption where we were operating in 2018 at about 18 billion, 2019 18 billion, and that fell to 13.1 billion in 2020. You can see there it represented about 24%, 25% of the world consumption market. So you can see how that splits amongst Sessimo in terms of Germany, Italy, France, and so forth. But what I want to move on to is what is the consumption forecast. So we also undertake some forecasts using Oxford Economics, and you'll see here from the 2020 to 21 data of about 14.5, you'll see they are forecasting that our markets here in Europe will continuously grow now into 2022, 23, 24. So again, that gives us another reason to be optimistic about the future. So I'd like to conclude a little bit by saying that, yes, I've painted a picture of optimism, but we do have some challenges. There are political issues in various areas. We do have issues with supply chain disruptions through materials and component shortages, and we don't know exactly how the pandemic will move forward with the Delta variant, but generally those are considered to be downsizes that our forecasts are not expecting to happen. So I think that the output for the coming period is very positive, and of course machine tool builders will drive other industries and investments with the essential requirement to improve productivity and support international efforts to tackle climate change. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Is it working? Hello? Oh, yes. Hello, good afternoon. I would like to greet you on behalf of UCIMU Sistemi per Produrre, the Italian Association of Machine Tools, Robot and Automation Systems Manufacturers, which I represent as a president and that organized the Emo Milano 2021. The purpose of my speech is to give you a brief presentation on the economic framework in which the exhibition will take place, focusing the attention to Italy, the only country, together with Germany, to be entrusted with the organization of Emo. Italy has always played a primary role in the international panorama of the sector. As you can see from this slide, Italy is fourth in the ranking of machine tool manufacturers after China, Germany, and Japan, and fourth in the ranking of the main exporters after Germany, Japan, and China. Italy is also ranking the fifth place among consumer markets. As you can see from this slide, Italy reacted quite well to the COVID pandemic, better than other countries. If you go back to the previous slide, for example, you can see a decrease of 2020 compared to 2019 that was of 20%. And if we compare it to other nations, other countries like Germany and... No, quella prima. Non va? Okay. Okay. They decreased the production and of 30%. So we can finally say that in the past, in 2020, Italy reacted quite well to the general pandemic situation. Let's go ahead. Let's have a look to the forecast data related to 2021, which we have revised upwards compared with those presented during the members' meeting of UCIMU last July. Actually, we are traveling at twice the speed of the figures elaborated in March. Production will grow by 22%, as you can see from this slide, reaching 6.3 billion euro. getting close to 2019 results that was a pre-COVID year. This means that we almost recovered the COVID year. This outcome is due to the excellent trend of Italian manufacturers' deliveries, as well as exports, which will reach at the end of the year 3.4 billion euro. This means an increase of 19% compared to 2020. In particular, in the first 6 months of the current year, the main export markets for Italy were Germany, United States, China, Poland, and France. If we look to the most significant changes compared to the first 6 months of 2020, very good results were achieved in Germany with an increase by 64%, Poland with an increase by 78%, and Turkey with an increase by 97%. On the other hand, you can see from this table, sales to China register a downturn by 16.5%. Unfortunately, Far East is the area that is suffering the most due to COVID restriction in mobility of people and goods. Italian demand is extremely dynamic, as shown by the data of consumption, which we expect to reach 4.6 billion euro. This means an increase by 28% more than in 2020. The dynamic trend of Italian demand should benefit both Italian manufacturers and importers. The deliveries of manufacturers in Italy will indeed register an increase of 25% increase, amounting to 2.9 billion euro. Imports will grow by 33%, attaining 1.7 billion euro. So Italy, we can say, that is the place to be for investments during these years. And as you know, Italy is experiencing a favorable economic moment thanks to government fiscal incentives that are available, especially for those companies that want to invest in technology, especially 4.0. Now, if we want to have an idea on how 2022 will be like, we can instead refer to the latest data relating to the trend of orders. As you know, in fact, orders collected by our companies will be transformed into production in the following 6 to 8 months. The index of orders collected by Italian manufacturers in the third quarter of the current year, last available data that was available last Friday, highlights a strong growth corresponding to 52% compared with the third quarter of 2020. Domestic orders grew by 163% and foreign orders by 29% versus the period July-September 2020. These are really good results and we are very happy for them. With reference to the domestic order, only in the third quarter of 2007 we got a better result, while with regards to foreign orders, this is absolutely the record result for Italian machine tools builders. We can say that the economic moment is extremely favorable for Italy as well as for the sector, also thanks to the government incentive made available for those who purchase a new production technology. So the real issue for the future is now the delivery of some strategic components from our suppliers. This is a common problem that we all have. As you know, there is a shortage on the market, especially for some components like the electronic, for example, and the increase of price of most materials that for sure will be an issue for 2022. This is a common problem for all the European countries, that are facing these two big problems and are affecting 2022 forecast. The level of orders is very good, but the real question is how long will it take to turn them into turnover? Thanks for the attention, and see you soon. See you soon. Questions? Any questions? To all of us? Everything was clear?
Hello. I just have a question about, my name is Eric. I'm sorry, I'm working with Metalmechanica. I have a question about the energy increase prices in the last few months and the fact that most government, like in France, they've taken some steps to block the increase or do something. What about the other countries in Europe, and how do you anticipate the, not only gas, but also all the energy rates increase can impact this increased in the market?
Well, with reference to Italy, we were in Rome last week, and we had a confirmation by our president, Mario Draghi, that Italy is saving some funds that are dedicated to this problem, more than 4 billion euro, in order to help with the increase on the price.
Yeah. Microphone? Yeah, it's on. Yeah, just a comment. From the UK's perspective, it's slightly more complicated. It's become very political. I won't go into some of the issues around that, but the mechanisms for pricing are a big political discussion at the moment, and it's going to cause some issues for the government. In terms of businesses, it will affect, it's going to increase costs. But in as far as it's universal, it's affecting everybody in a similar way. And that could be interesting to see how different governments respond to put their individual industries in a favourable condition. And I think that could be dangerous, in that we don't want that kind of competition across the sector, and we hope that there can be some sort of coordinated response. That's just a personal view, which I can add as a response.
So thank you very much to everybody, and thank you to our speakers for this time, and see you at Emo in the halls. So thank you.